The head of the Chechen Republic, Ramzan Kadyrov, stated that he is ready to resign. He said this in response to a journalist's question about whether he would run as a candidate in the upcoming elections. According to Kadyrov, he is ready to serve another term only if Russian dictator Vladimir Putin asks him to do so.
I'll run in the elections if the president suggests it and the people support me. All right.
At the same time, Kadyrov added that he is fed up with this power and serving the people. The head of Chechnya believes that new energy and new people would be more interesting. According to him, if others come to power, the situation will improve. In addition, according to Telegram channels, Kadyrov admitted that he does not want to live to old age and dreams of dying while he is still loved by everyone. It is noted that this statement was made during a live phone-in session. Talks about Kadyrov's resignation have been going on for quite some time, and the Chechen leader himself allows for such a possibility. For example, in May of this year, Ramzan Kadyrov stated that he had asked Vladimir Putin to relieve him of his post and said that he hoped his request would be supported. Previously, the media had repeatedly reported that Ramzan Kadyrov was seriously ill. It was reported that the Chechen leader has serious problems with his kidneys and pancreas. He himself has never commented on his illness. On the contrary, he has assured the public that he is in excellent health. It is possible that Kadyrov is tired of constantly having to explain away the ongoing problems in the region. Recently, there have been power outages in the Chechen Republic, which likely may have occurred as a result of drone attacks. But an ally of the Chechen leader, Russian State Duma deputy Adam Delimkanov, is trying to convince the public that the problems are supposedly due to increased energy demand amid active socio-economic development. He stated,
"As the region develops, the demand for energy capacity is constantly growing, and unexpected technical failures occur. However, we are monitoring the situation around the clock and are carrying out targeted work to improve the electricity supply."
It should be noted that drones are attacking military facilities in Chechnya. For example, on the night of December 2nd, a military base belonging to one of the units of the Akhmat regiment was attacked. The footage showed a powerful detonation from the explosion. In addition, UAVs struck the FSB building in the city of Achkoy Martan. Judging by the photo, it was completely burned down. Against the backdrop of these strikes, Ramzan Kadyrov, during a live Q&A session with residents of the region, promised to do everything possible to prevent drones from reaching Russia and Chechnya in particular. It is noteworthy that similar statements from the Chechen leader were made more than a year ago. At that time, Kadyrov praised the air defense system, claiming that it was supposedly capable of destroying thousands of enemy aircraft with the press of a single button. In particular, he stated,
"If 5,000 aircraft invade our territory at once, they will shoot them all down with the press of a single button. That's the kind of capabilities they have. Our air defense is that powerful."
However, the successful drone attacks on a number of strategic sites in Russian regions only confirm that Kadyrov's words are complete fiction.
Meanwhile, Novaya Gazeta Europe reports on a previously unknown fact: the emergency hospitalization of the Chechen leader Ramzan Kadyrov. He was hospitalized when he arrived at the State Council meeting chaired by dictator Putin. The meeting took place on December 25th, but Kadyrov, who had planned to attend in person, flew to Moscow on December 24th, suddenly felt unwell and had to be hospitalized on Christmas night from December 24th to 25th of last year. An intensive care ambulance was even dispatched for him. He was taken to the Central Clinical Hospital of the Presidential Administration of the Russian Federation. At the same time, he did not bring any of his deputies, and there were no representatives from Chechnya at the State Council meeting on the 25th. He was not prepared for this. He felt so extremely unwell that although his medical condition was temporarily stabilized for a short while, he was then urgently and quickly flown back by plane. He returned to Chechnya. According to reports, his overall condition has been steadily and continuously deteriorating since the very beginning of the year 2024. He had previously been hospitalized at the private iMedi clinic in Grozny, where he was receiving treatment for kidney problems. In total, for medical reasons, he was absent from work for more than 2 months in 2025. He had never allowed himself to do that before. Most of the time he would go to work, even on weekends, according to various reports. However, his health problems were so serious that he almost drowned, as was reported in July 2025. While vacationing in Turkey, Kadyrov nearly drowned while swimming, according to eyewitness accounts and media coverage. This was reported by the publication Millet. He was hospitalized in Turkey with complaints of a serious deterioration in his health. Well, in any case, rumors about his health problems and about him already preparing a successor, his son Adam, have been circulating for quite some time. However, there is no doubt that no one but Kadyrov would be able to keep the situation in Chechnya under control. And immediately after his death, or let's say his sudden inability to fulfill his official duties, a significant power vacuum could arise in the region of Chechnya. Meanwhile, the dictator Vladimir Putin delivered the shortest New Year's address in recent years. Journalists calculated that the entire New Year's address lasted just 3 minutes and 21 seconds. This is the shortest speech. Putin appeared in civilian clothes, but as usual, he wore a crisp white shirt with a blue tie and a black coat. However, it is quite obvious to any careful observer that all of this was filmed in front of a green screen. Then the background of the nighttime Kremlin and Red Square was carefully and skillfully added, creating the impression that he was actually standing there in that iconic and historic location during the night. Putin declared that everyone is united in their selfless, devoted love for Russia. Millions of Russians, he said, think about, empathize with, and place their hopes on the participants in the war against Ukraine. We are together, the people of Russia. The work, successes, and achievements of each of us make up new chapters in its millennia-old history. The work, successes, and strength of our unity determine the sovereignty, security of the motherland, its development, and its future. Well, basically this and other such verbal nonsense. Putin has long since stopped talking about the economy, and he doesn't mention the grave problems Russia has faced since the start of the full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Instead, he continues to spout endless nonsense and pseudo-historical drivel, a set of pompous, ultimately meaningless words and phrases like the front line of the fight for rights, truth, and justice. And now the key words in his speeches are no longer well-being, economic growth, and development, but rather traditions, sovereignty, and a glorious, celebrated historical past. In short, the old man went off on a tangent, and the brevity of his address is primarily due to the fact that he really has nothing left to say, and he clearly doesn't want to answer the uncomfortable questions that he should be addressing. Meanwhile, Putin's fake, the sweet story that an attack was supposedly being prepared. Let me show you from which direction this attack was allegedly coming. The day before, there was a special briefing by the Russian Ministry of Defense. Alexeyenko came out and gave a report. In short, it all ended badly. The US Central Intelligence Agency did not find any evidence of a drone attack on the Longbeards residence, better known as the Valdai residence in the Novgorod region. In a joint memorandum carefully prepared for President Trump by the Central Intelligence Agency and the National Security Agency, it is stated that there is no evidence for this. As reported by the highly influential and widely respected publication The Wall Street Journal, CIA Director John Ratcliffe prepared a detailed analytical note in collaboration with the NSA and subsequently handed it over to US President Donald Trump. On the same day, everyone noticed that Donald Trump reposted an editorial article from the New York Post, not to be confused with the New York Times. The Post is a right-leaning publication, Donald Trump's favorite newspaper. By the way, the New York Post is very sympathetic and supportive of Ukraine. It's very important, and that's why it often appears on the cover not only with the American flag, but also with the Ukrainian one. The New York Post wrote that the whole story about the alleged attack on Putin's Longbeards residence in Valdai is simply a fake. And this attack never actually happened. Ukrainian President Zelensky had also stated this earlier. Trump supported all of this.